When you think of short white point guards, who comes to your mind first? Maybe Steve Nash? Maybe Jason Kidd? Or some of you back in the day say John Stockton? Or even Mark Price? Well, today we're going to break down three others that are very underrated who don't get enough recognition. And those are Don O, Don Buse, and Louis Dampier. Each carved out an impressive career in a different era and in a different role. O was a prolific scorer, Buse was an elite defender and playmaker, and Dampier became one of the greatest players in ABA history. By the end of this video, I will rank all three of these players and explain why I believe this player came out on top. So let's get into it. We'll start with Don O. Nicknamed the Kangaroo Kid, O entered the NBA in 1960 and quickly became one of the league's top scoring guards. During the early and mid-1960s, he averaged around 20 points per game and earned 5 consecutive NBA All-Star selections from 1963 to 1967. O wasn't known as an elite passer or defender, but he could flat out score. He had an excellent mid-range jumper, attacked the basket well for his era, and consistently carried a large offensive workload. In the playoffs, he elevated his game even more, averaging over 23 points per game. For his time, he was one of the better offensive guards in basketball. Next up is Don Buse. Unlike O, Buse made his reputation on the defensive end. Think of him as more of a Lou Dort nowadays, or even a Cason Wallace. He began his career in the ABA before becoming one of the NBA's premier defensive point guards after the merger. Buse led both the ABA and NBA in steals during his career, something very few players have ever accomplished. He was selected to 4 all-defensive teams, made an all-star game, and consistently ranked among the league leaders in assists and steals. While Buse wasn't much in his score, he impacted winning through defense, hustle, leadership, and creating easy opportunities for teammates. If you needed someone to lock down the opposing point guard and run your offense, Don Buse was your guy. Now, let's talk about Louis Dampier. Dampier spent most of his time prime in the ABA, but made no mistake. He was one of the greatest players that league ever produced. He was a 7-time ABA All-Star, 4-time All-ABA selection, an ABA champion, and was later named to the ABA All-Time Team. He's also in the Basketball Hall of Fame. What really separated Dampier was his shooting. Long before Steph Curry changed basketball, being the greatest shooter God ever created, as Stephen A. says, Dampier was launching deep shots from beyond the ABA three-point line. He became the ABA's all-time leader in three-pointers, while also finishing as the league's all-time leader in points and assists. He wasn't just a shooter either. Dampier could score at all 3 levels, run an offense, and consistently produce year after year. His combination of scoring, playmaking, durability, and shooting made him one of the most complete guards of his era. Now, let's compare their games from category by category. Scoring. Don O was an outstanding scorer during the 60s, and Louis Dampier was one of the ABA's offensive superstars. While O may have had a slight edge as pure mid-range scorer, Dampier's ability to stretch defenses with a three-point shot and score in multiple ways gave him them advantage. Playmaking. Don Buse was the best traditional point guard of the 3. He consistently ranked among the leaders in assists and always put teams in positions to succeed. Dampier was also an excellent passer, but Buse's primary role was organizing an offense. As far as defense goes, Buse was one of the greatest defensive guards in the 70s, earning multiple all-defensive honors while leading the league in steals. Neither O nor Dampier reached that level defensively. This is where Dampier separates himself, though. The shooting. He was one of basketball's first elite long-range shooters and proved that range could become a primary offensive weapon. His shooting changed how teams defended the ABA. Overall resume, man. Here we go. Don O was a 5-time NBA All-Star. Don Buse was one of the best defensive guards of his generation. But Louis Dampier combined elite scoring, elite shooting, elite longevity, Hall of Fame recognition, an ABA championship, and a place on the ABA All-Time Team. His resume is simply stronger. Now we get to the final rankings. Third place, I'm going to have to put Don Buse. Buse was an outstanding defender and floor general whose impact often went beyond the box score. If defense were weighted more heavily, he'd have a stronger argument. But his limited scoring keeps him in third. Great guard, though. for Indiana. Second place, Don Ohl. Ohl was one of the NBA's most underrated scorers during the 60s and earned 5 All-Star appearances for a reason. He had an excellent offensive peak, but his overall resume doesn't quite match the player taking the top spot. And that player is Louis Dampier. He was an elite scorer, an excellent playmaker, one of the greatest shooters of his generation, and one of the defining stars in ABA history. Being the ABA's all-time leader in points, assists, and three-pointers while earning Hall of Fame induction speaks volumes about his impact on the game. Even though Don Ohl had a terrific scoring career and Don Buse was a phenomenal defender, Dampier brought more complete offensive value and left behind the strongest legacy of the three. That's why Louis Dampier is better. Now, do you agree with this ranking? Would you have Louis Dampier as number 1, or do you think Don Ohl or Don Buse deserve the top spot? Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed, leave a like, and I will catch you all on the next one.